I'm going to show you my light up gingerbread houses that I made for Module 5. I have two cute little videos so you can see the end result. And each of them is just showing you. This one was in the light, it didn't look as fun, so I went in my bathroom where it was nice and dark so you could see it a little bit better. So now I'm going to go through my process with you. Maybe. All right. So, of course, I went through the design process. This one's my favorite because I always feel like it's kid friendly. So first, I asked the question, what am I going to do with these lights? So I decided that I would create a gingerbread house that lights up. I went through my new curriculum and what I had done in the past. In the past, when we made the gingerbread bridges, we also made a gingerbread village to go with it. So my new science curriculum has a unit on electricity where students are tasked with, circuitry, and one of the things they have to do is create a dimmer switch using real wire and a lead pencil. And I'm not quite sure how that's going to work out, but I thought this activity could either be a great introduction or a great wrap up for that unit. And hopefully, because it's around Christmas time, this would work. And again, if it's not around Christmas time, it would just be a house, but either way. So I imagined what I would use. I thought about what I had seen at the dollar store, and they have these big foam board pieces. You could use cardboard if you had it. I just thought that this foam board would be a little bit sturdier. Um, I thought I could use construction paper for decoration, but I did not really think it would work for the building because I wanted to be three-dimensional and stand up. In ours that I used in school, we used a box. This I needed to make a little bit more detailed, so we went with the foam. You can see there's all my materials. The one thing I did not like that you have to use, the scissors didn't work really well with the foam board, and I had to use an X-Acto knife, so I would have to figure out a way for my fifth graders to cut the foam board without getting hurt. So as an X-Acto knife might be a possibility, but it would have to be with grown-up supervision of some sort. So then step 3, I made a plan and I practiced with my circuits. We've had a really hard time with the circuits at the beginning. My fiance and I didn't quite understand the whole concept well, and he wouldn't listen to me. And anyway, when we finally figured it out and made it work, I was super excited. This was the picture of my house, how I wanted the circuitry to go up around. So I didn't know if I wanted to have how I wanted my windows to look and everything. So that was kind of my drawing. And then here I was creating it. These are my pieces. You can see I had to measure it. And then, of course, I was very anal and I wanted to line up my siding so it looked just right. Now, I do see some mistakes that I made that I would fix. You can see here on this side, I didn't figure out this lining up right. I would have tucked that behind the white, but the way my floor worked, it just didn't work out right. So that would be something I would fix. But again, with kids, these things happen. And my door did open. I just forgot to open it for you for the video. And then here's some more of my creativity. I took some saran wrap bags and I cut them up into pieces so my windows actually had plastic behind them, you can see. And then this was my circuitry on my back wall. And then I put the battery on here, and it did. When I first did it, I didn't pay attention to the lights, and my lights were red and blue and yellow. And I thought, well, it's gonna look like the red district in Switzerland or whatever that is, and I did not want my house to have that effect. So I changed it out. I realized there was a red and a white and a blue. And then there's what it looks like when it's in the dark. It looks much better in the dark than it does in the light. It was a lot of fun. So some of the things that I would improve, I would try to figure out how we could connect that back wall. I had to take the wall in and out in order to make the batteries stay connected. The other thing is that I noticed that I had a white clip in my drawer because I needed a bigger one than they had with the kit because my foam was in between it, not just a piece of paper. So I got a bigger one, but the black one didn't work, but the white one did. And I think it's because the white part is metal, whereas with the black one, I think that black part is made out of plastic and the conductor is just this metal part here. So those would be some things that we would look at, and as the students, we could try to figure out how we can maybe improve that. This was my design tool. I went through everything, and as I was asking myself the questions, I was kind of surprised that I could say yes to everything because I thought this would maybe be too simplistic. But once I really sat down and thought about it, like, the kids, there's a real problem. We have to have lighting in our homes. Will they relate to it? Yes, we have lights in our house. Will they be able to be creative? Absolutely. These kids could create any kind of house they wanted to. It doesn't necessarily have to have the pointed top. They could have made an A-frame. They can make an A-frame. They can make a box, whatever they wanted to make. Um, it does integrate with the science and math at my grade level. I went through both my math and my science standards, and it hit on all of them. So that was definitely a plus. I went through the engineering design process. As you could see, I asked, I created, I figured out ways that I would fix it. It's definitely hands on. They built a model, and there are things that you could fix. If I had to go back through and redo it, I would make some minor changes. The technology part is, of course, then the paper circuits. The kids, it was engaging because, of course, you have to work in teams of two. My fiance helped me, like, holding the house together with the glue and figuring out the circuitry. And there was testing, and the kids would be able to communicate by showing their houses off to their classmates. And then when I did it in my school, I put it out in the hallway so that other classes who went by could see their houses. This is what I asked myself: in order for students to learn about circuits and energy flow, instead of looking in their textbooks or just creating a drawing of it, they could create the actual circuit and energy flow with the math component of it. In order for my students to learn about angles, instead of completing a workbook page, they could make the three-dimensional house with the right angles. I had to make sure my angles were correct so that the house would line up. And then finally, measurement. Instead of measuring lines on a worksheet, they had to make sure they measured everything precisely so that all the pieces lined up, my floor and my roof and everything. I did have to make some corrections on that. So if I had to, I'm sure my students would have to. And then here is my lesson plan, and that is in the theory part of it already listed, but I definitely think that this was richer than I thought at first, because I really struggled with this over the past week, trying to figure out how I was going to create something different. And so in the end, it really did end up being something much richer than I thought it would be. I hope you enjoyed it, and you have a great rest of your week.